Have you ever wondered why certain situations affect you more than they affect other people? Why criticism stays with you for days? Why asking for help feels uncomfortable? Why relationships feel harder than they seem for everyone else? Or why you constantly feel like you're not doing enough? Many of the patterns we carry as adults didn't appear overnight. They often began much earlier, long before we understood what was happening. Today, let's explore some of the ways difficult childhood experiences can continue shaping us long after childhood ends. 1. Childhood doesn't stay in childhood. Most people imagine childhood as something we leave behind, a chapter that ends when we become adults. But psychology tells a different story. Our earliest experiences help shape how we see ourselves, how we view other people, and how safe or unsafe the world feels. This doesn't mean your past controls your future, but it does mean your past may still influence your present, often in ways you don't immediately notice. 2. The need to be perfect. Do you constantly feel like nothing you do is good enough, even when other people tell you you've done well? For some people, perfectionism becomes a survival strategy. Maybe mistakes were heavily criticized. Maybe praise only came when you achieved something. Maybe love felt conditional. Over time, success stops feeling rewarding, because every achievement simply becomes the new minimum requirement. And no matter how much you accomplish, you still feel behind. 3. The fear of making mistakes. Perfectionism isn't really about perfection. It's often about fear. Fear of failure. Fear of criticism. Fear of disappointing people. As adults, this can make even small decisions feel overwhelming, because every choice starts feeling like a test, and every mistake feels bigger than it actually is. 4. Your relationship with comfort. When people experience emotional pain, they naturally look for ways to cope. Some turn to work. Some turn to distractions. Some turn to food. Some seek control wherever they can find it. The coping strategy itself isn't the point. The point is that people often develop habits to help manage emotions they never learned how to process safely. Sometimes those habits become helpful. Sometimes they become harmful. 5. Why adult responsibilities can feel so heavy. Have you ever looked at other adults and wondered, how are they handling all of this? For some people, everyday responsibilities trigger surprisingly intense anxiety. Not because they're incapable, because deep down, a part of them still feels unsafe, still feels unprepared, still feels like a child trying to navigate an adult world. When stress becomes overwhelming, people often retreat toward things that feel familiar, comforting, and predictable. It's the mind's way of searching for safety. 6. The way you attach to other people. One of the strongest influences childhood can have is on relationships. If the people who cared for you were consistent and supportive, trust often feels natural. But when love felt unpredictable, things become more complicated. You may constantly worry about being abandoned, or you may avoid getting too close to people altogether. Some people desperately want connection. Others convince themselves they don't need anyone. And many people move back and forth between both extremes. 7. The fear of rejection. For some adults, rejection feels painful. For others, it feels devastating. A delayed text message, a cancelled plan, a small disagreement. Suddenly, the mind jumps to conclusions. They don't care about me. They're leaving. I did something wrong. These reactions often make more sense when viewed through the lens of earlier experiences, because sometimes the fear isn't about today. It's about old wounds being activated. 8. Independence can be a defense mechanism. People often admire independence, and independence can absolutely be healthy. But sometimes extreme independence develops because someone learned they couldn't rely on others. They learned to solve every problem alone, handle every crisis alone, carry every burden alone. Asking for help may feel uncomfortable, even when support is available. Not because they don't want connection, because depending on others once felt unsafe. 9. Healing doesn't mean blaming your past. It's important to understand something. Learning how childhood affected you isn't about blaming your parents or blaming the past forever. It's about understanding yourself. Because once you understand where a pattern comes from, you gain the ability to change it. Awareness creates choice, and choice creates growth. 10. Your story isn't finished. Perhaps the most important thing to remember is this. Childhood experiences can influence you, but they don't define you. The patterns you learned can be unlearned. The fears you developed can be healed, and the beliefs you formed about yourself can change. Your past explains part of your story. It does not write the ending. Many adult behaviors make a lot more sense once we understand where they began. The perfectionism, the people-pleasing, the fear of rejection, the difficulty trusting others. These patterns often started as ways to survive difficult situations. But surviving and thriving are not the same thing. And sometimes the first step toward healing is simply realizing you're not broken. You're adapting to experiences that shaped you. The good news is that what was learned can also be changed, and your future doesn't have to look exactly like your past.